I hiked the rim to rim across the Grand Canyon in one day.
And I didn't. Today, we're going over our individual reasons, which will hopefully help you decide whether or not this is something for you.
This is Magellan.
And this is Greyhound.
Where we make videos about epic road trips, kayaking, hiking, and other outdoor adventures.
We spent a week total on both the North and South Rim a few years ago. We've done day hikes down into the canyon, seen all of the viewpoints, and we even did a mule ride. Check out those videos if you're interested. I feel really satisfied with what I saw. I just don't feel the need to do 24 miles to see a lot of the same trails I already day hiked and mule rode. That's a word, right?
No dude, definitely not. The hikes we did to Plateau Point from Bright Angel and Skeleton Point along South Kaibab were amazing hikes, arguably in both our top 5s. I'd recommend them to anyone, but neither go to the river, and even if you extend your day hike to the river, which I would discourage, you may as well pop up the other side for a rim to rim at that point. The river crossing itself, the descent from Supai Tunnel to Ribbon Falls, the dangerous yet gorgeous box, these were incredible sights that you would not see on a day hike. Even my journey through the Devil's Corkscrew, where I suffered greatly, was unbelievable. Speaking of suffering. When I trained, I subjected myself to extreme heat and miserable conditions for long distances. I worked through blisters and cramps, dehydration and overeating. And I worked through this suffering so that when I did the rim to rim, I could enjoy it more. The fact is, I felt amazing for 16 miles until I got blasted by 120-degree heat. And I couldn't really avoid that or ever train enough for it. But I promise you, if you don't train enough or at all, you will very likely suffer.
I cannot stress how strenuous this hike is. First off, it's over 11,000 feet of elevation change. At 21 or 23.5 miles, depending on which rim you begin at, this is nearly a marathon and you are climbing up well over 5,000 feet of elevation either way, which is a mile, all at the very end of your hike when you are the most tired. To me, that is a sufferfest. To me, hiking is about seeing incredible sights and not being so miserable that you can't pay attention.
So I did feel that I could pay attention, but that was largely an easy byproduct of my fitness. Prior to doing the hike, I never really felt like I got into hiking shape unless I had planned an adventurous vacation. I had wanted to be at a level of fitness where I was ready for anything. So preparing for the rim to rim helped me with that fitness goal.
Me, I feel pretty good about my fitness level right now. I can hike about 15 miles without any real discomfort in a day, and I just see no reason to push myself past that. A capacity for 15 miles is good enough for me. And I already hike several times a week at home, so I don't need a big goal to make hiking into a new habit for me. In order to do this hike, you're likely going to have to stay at one of the lodges on both the North and South Rim. These are not cheap and usually require reservations 6 months to a year in advance, especially if you're trying to do the rim to rim when it's much cooler before the North Rim closes in October. You've got to keep in mind too, you're not just competing with rim to rim hikers for lodging, you're competing with everyone. If you're just doing a day hike into the Grand Canyon though, you can easily find much cheaper lodging outside the park, even if it's an hour away.
Saying that one of the most visited natural wonders in the world should have easy to obtain or cheap lodging is a touch unrealistic. Just plan in advance and go for broke on one of the best hikes ever.
If you guys have seen our other videos, you know that I hurt my ankle pretty bad a few years ago. I was on and off a crutch for a year. I'm up to my old mileage and fitness level now, and I really have no desire to push myself past that. I cannot get hurt again. I will roll up into a ball in a dark corner and just die.
I have a very unreliable right knee when hiking uphill, so I'm wary of aggravating it too much. But like a dog with a bone, I wanted to cross the Grand Canyon, and last I checked, I ain't dead. It all came down to smart training, listening to my body, and working around my knee to minimize any problems with it.
I mean, bragging rights are cool, I guess. Most of our friends and family are more likely to think we're nuts, though, if we told them we did this. Kind of like when we told them that we would sleep in the back of our truck at truck stops.
I don't really think I'm a bragging type of person either, but it is kind of wild when you think about it. I crossed that. And yeah, most people I've told do kind of think I'm nuts. Did I just agree with you? We really are so alike. Except, not really, because I hiked the rim to rim in one day, motherfucker. The North Kaibab trailhead is 8,241 feet in elevation. The South Kaibab is roughly 7,200. The Bright Angel is 6,860, and the Colorado River is about 2,400 feet. That's roughly 11,000 feet in elevation change. Obviously, going up isn't easy, but that's what training is for. And while many people suffer elevation sickness between 5,000 and 8,000 feet, I don't really feel it until about 11,000 feet.
This may not be an issue for everyone, but we live on Long Island just about as close to sea level as possible. And I really don't do well with higher elevation. When we went to Bryce Canyon, I was dogging it on a sub 8,000 foot flat ridgeline. This didn't bother me much on the day hikes we did down into the Grand Canyon, but I can see it bothering me on the way up from the very bottom at the end of a long day on mile 22 when I'm nearly bonked out. If you think it's really cool to experience 120 degree temperatures on your hike, have at it. Generally, for every 1,000 feet of elevation into the Grand Canyon, it gets hotter by 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit. So while it may be 78 degrees at Mather Point on the rim at noon, it's likely a whole lot hotter below. And unless you do this in late May or early October when the North Rim is still open and the weather could be cooler, no thanks. I'll just start early and have a nice day hike to Plateau Point and be back by lunch.
Heat is a problem for me, and so I could have left at 3 a.m. like many people do, but that's not fun. I did want to see the canyon after all. So I did do heat training in case, but what I really wanted was to avoid it as much as possible. And that's why I trained to reach Phantom Ranch by 10 or 11 a.m. and out of the box, the hottest part of the canyon. While I did get burned to a crisp after that in the Devil's Corkscrew, despite the heat training, I knew that once I got through that section, it was all shade from Havasupai Gardens back up to the top. Excessive heat should absolutely be respected, but there's ways to work around it.
You guys, unless you are some triathlete or long distance trail runner, the rim to rim is going to take a long time to do, with an average of 12 hours to complete. This means you will likely be starting or ending in the dark, maybe both. To me, if I am missing the amazing view, this defeats part of the point of this hike.
This is true, but again, training can change that. My friend Suri and I left shortly after sunrise, and we would have finished before sunset had I not helped out that hiker in trouble. We weren't even 100% and still finished at just short of 13 hours, including at least 2 hours of breaks, knowing that we had a good pace.
To do a rim to rim, you need to endure a 5-hour shuttle ride either to the rim you're hiking from or back to the rim you'll be leaving from to go home. For me, this is just another thing in the negative column that knocks it down for me.
I personally like the shuttle. For one, even though elevation sickness was not going to be an issue for me, being able to take the shuttle after flying in the day before and driving several hours to the South Rim allowed not only my body to acclimate to the area, but I was able to relax, read, and doze off, and even share plans with other rim-to-rimmers also taking the shuttle, some of whom already had done it multiple times.
Now, this is not why I ended up not doing a rim to rim, but we have to be transparent here. There are some minor extra expenses in doing a rim to rim rather than day hikes, mainly the shuttle ride, which will set you back $100 per person, and the expensive rim lodging.
Pretty lame, dude. Can you find lodging in, for example, Williams, Arizona, an hour from the park for cheaper? Yeah, but now you gotta drive to and from the park for your day hike. I don't know. I'm an all-in person. I gotta fly here, drive here. Why would I want to add all this extra stuff? It is extra money, but it's extra hassle too. We hope this helped you guys make a decision about the Rim to Rim hike. One thing we didn't touch on was doing the Rim to Rim across multiple days by either getting Phantom Ranch reservations or staying in campgrounds along the route to break up the miles. Definitely let us know in the comments if you're planning on going or not, and why. And if you did, how it went.
And most importantly, share your fitness level with all of us in the comments so people can get an idea of what to expect for themselves. And again, if you want to see the video of Magellan doing the hike itself or his video on how he prepared for it, check out those for more information. We'll see you on the trails or in the water.